3:04 and I just turned the tape on, so go ahead.
Hi, I'm DJ Sullivan, interviewing Earl Delmar Armstrong, my grandfather, at Hudson Falls High School on December 22nd, 2003 at 3:05 p.m. Alright, Graham. What was your branch of service?
I was in the Navy.
Alright. And what was your dates of service in the Navy?
It was 43 through 46.
Where were you on December 7th, 1941?
I was home on the farm. I hadn't looked in the Navy yet.
And what were you doing that day?
I was out skiing with my dog.
What did you think? What was your reaction to Pearl Harbor when it happened?
I had never heard of Pearl Harbor before. I didn't realize the catastrophe that it was at the time.
Why exactly did you enter the service?
Well, I had a farm extension, but I couldn't find any help. And so I kind of wanted to see the world anyway, so I sold the farm and joined the Navy.
Was there a lot of slogans or banners put up during that time that encouraged you to get into the Navy?
No, not really. There was a rationing going on. That's about all I can remember anyway.
What was it like during the Great Depression, growing up prior to entering the war?
Well, it was kind of rough on my parents, I know it was. I remember one thing distinctly, that we had a check for 2 months, and it came to $7.14.
If you could just tell me briefly what your ship's complete assignment, step by step, was through your term on your ship, and also, actually, what was the name of your ship?
Charles S. Sperry, DD 697.
And what was its assignment for your term?
We were part of a squadron that escorted Task Force 58, which was the big carrier forces, and we were more or less looking after them. We were on the outside checking for submarines and stuff like that.
And where did you train for all this?
Well, I started out in Sampson, New York, down by Seneca Falls. And I went to a gunner's mate school. I volunteered for gunner's mate school. I thought I was going to be shooting. Well, I was. And that's about it. Gunner's mate was actually, the duties of that was to keep the guns in shape.
So you had to do a lot of cleaning?
Oh yes, we used gallons of fuel oil to clean them with. At one time, I remember I had twin 20s, what I worked on. I had them all tore out on a, can't think what you call it, but anyway, it was all laid out piece by piece. I forget how many pieces there was, but there was a lot of them. And general quarters rang, and I had to get them guns back before my crew got up on the guns, and I did it.
What kind of guns were these?
20 millimeters.
Oh, yeah.
Twin 20s, they called them. They were the first time the twin 20s come out. They didn't prove to be too good.
Did you ever have any problems with them?
You had a problem getting them started. So what I did, I found a big ball hammer, and when we got the orders to fire, I held off to hit them, and they fired.
Before you entered the war, what was your opinion on the Navy and the whole entire military?
Well, we didn't hear too much about them. Just after the war started, or just before the war started, we had a contingent of mounted cavalry go by our farm. That's about as far behind we were as anybody.
When you got on the ship and you were heading towards the Pacific, what was going through your mind?
Well, we began to realize we were in a war then. We were on 4 hours on and 4 hours off watch, and we were scouting for submarines and whatnot, which that brought the war a little closer to us.
Did you had to go down through Panama, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever encounter any sort of attacks on the Atlantic side?
No, we didn't.
When was it, when you went through past Panama, that you started encountering attacks?
Well, we went through the Panama Canal, and we lost our escort duty. We had to go up to San Diego for some reason, I don't know what. And from there we went to Pearl Harbor out in Hawaii. And things got tighter. Practicing general quarters, all such things as that.
How was your, like, who was in charge of the ship?
The captain was in charge of the ship.
How was he?
He was very good. We actually had two of them before we got done with it. We had this short guy, but he was good. We had a good gunnery officer, and then I don't know. Our first captain, he got transferred onto a new destroyer coming in, and they sent another captain in, which he was a heck of a good guy. He was an older guy, and in fact, on one of our reunions, I met him there. He was still alive, and old like I am.
Speaking of the reunions, have you gone to any recently, or when was the last one you went to?
Oh, must have been 10 years ago or so.
Where was that?
It was at Dollyland.
Did a lot of people show up for that?
There was around 30 or 35.
And how many were on the ship?
They had all retired from that.
All right. When you were on the ship, did you keep in touch with everyone back at home, your family and whatnot?
Oh yes, we had mail delivered right out in the middle of the ocean. And the carriers would go in, and they would make carrier strikes on the shore of the different islands and Tokyo, and they
so that they could keep it. How did they could keep in touch with you? So how did they handle you in combat, out in combat?
Well, we were on the outskirts of the carrier force, which was made up of 3 first squadrons, 7 ships to the squadron. Circled the outside of the carrier force. And the carrier force themselves generally had 2 big carriers, and they had cruisers. I don't know. They probably had 35, 40 ships into a carrier force, and they had 3 of them going.
What did your family think about you out in combat when you enlisted in the service?
Well, they wrote pretty good letters to me, which was helpful. But it wasn't too bad on the ship there. It seemed like you got out at the ports or where you were in anchorage or whatnot, and you stayed out 2, 3 days, and you forgot all about. And you were really helpful to see if somebody didn't shoot at you.
When you look back on your military experience, what do you think of them?
I thought they were pretty good. I've seen a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have seen before, and had a lot of different opinions on it. But it was a good experience. I don't know whether I'd recommend it to everybody, but it wasn't bad.
What was your most like memorable experience? Do you have any of those funny moments, scary moments?
Well, the scariest moment I think we had was we were in making strikes on Okinawa, and when them Kamikaze planes were visiting, and I know I've been on half the night on watch, and I finally got off, and I had breakfast, went down and got my towels and whatnot. I was going to take a shower. It was a beautiful day. And just as I come out on deck, I see these two airplanes come down on the big carrier in Bunker Hill, one right after the other. It dove right in and never pulled up for a thing. And it wasn't very long, and the sailors were leaving the ship like rats. I'm telling you, they were jumping off all over, 6 foot down in the water.
What time of year was this?
This was in the spring. I think it was in May or June.
Was the water cold, do you think?
It probably was. I don't know. I didn't get in it. But we picked up 52 sailors off of the Bunker Hill, and then we got orders to move all our ammunition over to the port side, which was away from the Bunker Hill, and to approach through the port side of the Bunker Hill and use it for firefighting equipment. So we're going along probably 20 miles an hour, and we pulled up the side of it, had to get the fire hoses out and everything, and I know I and 2 other fellas got posted up on top of the pilot house, the highest part of the ship, and we sprayed water over onto the Bunker Hill. And that's one place that I realized life was too short to argue with people and make trouble, because I see them pull 360 bodies out of that Bunker Hill that got burnt to death, really, is what happened. So we were lucky. Never gave it a thought that they might blow up on our face.
Yeah, did you ever have any kamikaze attacks on your ship?
Oh yeah, we had a couple too, but they missed us. We got them before they got to us.
Oh yeah, so they landed right in front of you though?
Right aside of us. It must be that got the pilot, and he must have died or something, because he was coming right in on our fantail, and then all of a sudden he swerved off and bunkered.
Speaking of Okinawa and Iwo and all those places, tell me a little bit about those. Just what happened.
Well, Iwo was, we didn't do any little bit of shore bombardment there, and it was just a desolate looking island. There was nothing there other than that mountain, Montier or something like that. But we didn't see too much of that, but Okinawa, we didn't see any of it till it was over. We stayed outside the land for 90 days, never see land. And we had shore bombardment, and we sent our planes in and fought off the Kamikaze. It was, we were about 70 miles offshore, and it was too far out to see the Japanese when they took off from the main island for us, so they put us up on picket duty halfway between all.
Did you ever step foot on Okinawa?
No, I never did, but I was on Tokyo, Japan after the war. No, we were there. We picked up down airmen that were shot up so bad that they couldn't land their planes, and picked them up. We had a bunch of them.
Was there a medical unit on your ship?
Just a corpsman, all, but he did pretty good. Nobody died.
So you said you saw Tokyo. Did you go in after
Yeah.
the fire raids?
Yeah.
What did you think of that napalm?
Well, that was something I'm telling you. It burned acres and acres as far as you could see down the line. It was. I don't know. The Japanese must have had some valuables or something because every house along the streets was burnt, and there was nothing but one of these big iron safes, one after another down through. That's the only way you could tell there had been a street there. Everything was burning completely, as far as you could see, one way and the other. And I don't know what I was doing down in there alone. But
You went down there alone?
I didn't realize I got down in there, and I turned around and come out.
Did you ever meet up with any Japanese people?
Oh yeah.
Did they ever talk to you or anything, or did you communicate with them?
Not really.
Did you ever find out what they thought of Americans?
No, I never did. They were very quiet.
Did you ever see signs of Japanese propaganda kind of going against Americans?
Well, I don't know about that. The only propaganda we heard was Tokyo Rose, I guess they called her, on the radio. And she broadcast that our ship had been hit, and she did it 3 times.
Tokyo Rose, she was like the Japanese propaganda spokeswoman.
Yeah.
I gotcha. When the atomic bomb was dropped, what was your reaction to that?
We were all happy. We got home pretty quick.
Is that how it was?
That was about it.
Did you have any prior information hinting that the atomic bomb would be dropped?
No, it was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did all your friends think about that when it happened?
They all were just as happy as I was.
Yeah. Did you guys go out to the bars that night?
We were outside laughing down the ocean.
Oh, all right. Are you familiar with Bataan?
No, we were in the Lady Gulf, but we were out in the ocean all the time. We got on one battlefield after it was over.
Speaking of the Lady Gulf, I'm not too familiar with that. Could you fill me in on what the Lady Gulf is?
It's a harbor, big harbor, in just south of Manila, Philippines. I think it's I don't know, I've forgotten now what it is. Whether it's an island, I think it is.
Manila?
No.
Or Lady Gulf?
Lady Gulf. Can't remember what it was. You know, we sent planes in, there were battleships and everything. We managed to luck out on that.
So did you ever hear anything about the Bataan, like the Bataan death marches or any of that?
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about it over there after they freed the prisoners. And I've read a lot about it. It's been lying, and believe me, it's true. It isn't no exaggeration. They were something the Japanese, they didn't think no more of slicing somebody's head up.
Yeah. Did you see anything ever like that happen with torture, any sort of torture, either between Americans to Japanese or Japanese to Americans?
No, I never did. I see when we went into Tokyo, I hitchhiked right in. A couple of army guys picked me up. Open jeep. And as we're going down the road, the Japanese be walking with their back down. They'd haul off.
These are the prisoners, right, that you're talking about?
Oh, they were civilians.
Oh, all right.
But that's about the most.
Did you ever meet with any of the Jap prisoners of war?
No.
Were you ever concerned that something like Bataan or anything like that could happen to you, like maybe your ship would get taken over?
Yeah, it did. You heard all these, they weren't rumors. They think they were, but they weren't. You heard these things going around. And it made you think. immediately.
Do you feel as if being in the Navy changed your life? Do you have a different perspective on it?
Oh yes, I never been that serious since, I don't think. After seeing all them sailors pulled out of the Bunker Hill, and then our sister ship, the destroyer, came in on that picket duty one night, and they had, I forget how many casualties, but they got hit by a kamikaze, and I forget how many casualties, but they buried them at sea. They sewed them up in a canvas bag,
All of them together?
and put them on a tube, one after the
All
other.
one after another?
Yeah. I know I'd heard about that, read about that and everything, but I never see it.
Was there ever like a newspaper or something that they sent to the ships, kind of updating on how the states were or something like that?
No?
So did you guys ever know what was going on back in the states?
No, not really. My father died while I was in Okinawa campaign. We got our mail, came in on the ships, and you know, I had been on duty 72 hours without any sleep.
You were awake?
And when I get this letter, my dad had died 3 weeks ago.
How was that?
Huh?
How did you handle that when you were on the ship?
Well, it shook me up for a couple of days, but at that time, the Kamikaze was thick about that time, and like I say, I was up 72 hours. I was exhausted. I was seeing things that wasn't there.
Wow, staying awake for 4 days. How was sleeping there? Like, how did you get to sleep on the ships?
Well, you read books, cots, or not cots, but canvas held up on the frame. They were, I slept as near as the deck as I could. It was right over the ventilation for the engine room, kind of hot, but
Yeah.
you know, I hated to be caught down underneath it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Some of them did, though. We ate good on the ship.
Yeah, how was the food?
The captain liked good food, and he liked his crew to have good food. And so we ordered. We had fresh potatoes and fruit, apples by the bushel, and chicken from that. We actually made hot plates out of fire bricks, cut the grooves in them for the wires, and made hot plates, made utensils and powder cases, aluminum, and at night on watch we'd have fried chicken and
You had a little barbecue on the ship?
chicken. Lloyd, the captain and the officers didn't like it. We'd see them walk by and they could smell that chicken but cooking and couldn't figure out where it come from.
Did they ever join in on you guys and have some?
No, they never filmed it.
Oh, you guys had some creative ideas out there. Just tell me a little bit of what it was like on your way from home to the ship.
Well, it was, of course, I was in boot camp for 4 weeks, and then I was in, then I went to gunner's mate school and got out of that, and I volunteered for the PT boat, which is the same physical as submariners. But well, my class all went to amphibious, and they left me standing there alone. I'm finding out I didn't have all my teeth. They had to make some before they let me go, so I was put in the barracks, and I was there for a month and a half, I guess. I'd still be there, I guess, because they found my papers down in some secretary's desk.
How'd you lose your teeth?
They pulled them.
Oh, they pulled them on you?
Pulled 11 teeth and filled 11.
How come they went to amphibious?
Well, that's when they were just after Normandy. And they needed them to get across the rivers. These guys were going in training for handling amphib boats. But I got a destroyer, which was good.
Yeah, a little bit bigger. As you're in the Pacific, did you hear about the stuff that was going on over in Europe?
No.
Well, you never heard about it?
I think of it, I never did.
Did any of your friends back at home go over to Europe?
Yeah, next door neighbor did. Yeah, he was in that Normandy beachhead. That's the only thing was since we got out. We moved out of the country.
Did you know anyone that was in World War I? While you were in World War II?
No, I didn't.
They compare stories.
Probably did, because we had a few older guys.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the officers were.
What was your... what was your reaction when FDR died?
Well, it was a shock to everybody. It just didn't seem so he was dead. Because he really was good to all the services. He was, good. Yeah.
Did you ever receive any medals or anything like that while being in combat?
Well, for these different campaigns like Evo and Okinawa and Tokyo, no real personal medals.
Just like ribbons or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yep.
I don't know where they are now.
You don't have any of that left? How was it when you got back home?
It was great.
Yeah.
No, we didn't, nothing spectacular. Everybody was coming home.
Mhm.
Started going in the war. Yep.
How was it adjusting back to like working and all that stuff? Did you have to find a job? Or?
Yeah, I found a job right off quick at a paper mill. Stayed there 2-3 months. I didn't like working inside, so I got a job driving truck, gas truck. And that was no future in that. And I was a janitor in a state school. I see all these guys going to college, and I say, where the hell should I go? So I did.
You were a lot cheaper back then.
Well, the government paid for it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Was it because Paul Smith you went to, right?
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't a state school though. They just paid for every college.
Yeah, well, it
Oh,
paid
because you're in the Navy, they
Yeah.
paid. All right. Yeah.
veterans.
Were a lot of the veterans in college at the time with you?
Well, that first one, the 46, 45, 46, I guess it was. They were all veterans, so was 46, was 47, 48, which I was in. They were practically all, there was about 40 in the class, and all but 2 of them were veterans.
Tell me a little. Did you ever get past Tokyo?
No, really. What do you mean?
Like, how did your campaign end?
It ended in Tokyo. We ended up, one thing did happen to us. We were out at sea when the war was over, but they hadn't signed the peace treaty yet. And we got assigned to go over to Eagle and pick up some newspaper reporters and take them up for the peace signing on the Missouri. So we did. We picked them up, went up in Tokyo Harbor, like a long river getting into the harbor. And we kept watching. We were pretty nervous. You didn't know what they were going to do. But they didn't do anything. We see a Japanese submarine going out with Japanese flag on the bottom and the American flag on the top. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we went in and we anchored. Come find out, we anchored about 1,000 feet from Missouri.
Yeah. So you're right next to where the treaty was signed?
Yeah, we watched them. Could see them. And but the night before, the first night we'd been with lights since the war started.
They didn't have lights on the ship?
And yeah, but they didn't use them because they get shot if they did.
Oh, okay.
So they had lights on, looked like gin mill or something. And we all speculated on what they were doing. So we couldn't get off the go, you know. So the next morning we looked and there was a hospital ship all decked.
You said that when you went to Tokyo, you were part of the first group to go on the shore bombardments on there, right?
Yeah.
Tell me something about that.
Yeah, well, quite a while before, when Eagle was going, we went up and done shore bombardment there, and then we went up to the northern part of Japan. And we had left down just about on the equator where it was probably 120 degrees, and went up to Eagle, and then we went on up through to the northern part of Japan where it was winter. And they're close to that.
Yeah, as in our reading, it says how warm it was and whatnot. How was that hot weather when you were on the islands?
Oh, it was terrible. It was sweat all the time. Humidity was high.
A lot of people get sick from heat humidity.
Not too bad, no. Didn't wear enough on the shorts most of the time anyway.
What was dress like on the ships? Did you have to wear like a certain uniform during?
No, just for inspections. We had dungarees, icy jackets. We were, after the war was over there, we were into, Nagasaki or one of those places. And they had just unloaded the whole box after box of Army or, I think it was Army or Marine uniforms.
So you guys had Marine uniforms?
So we used to, on our way back to the ship, we'd sneak in back of them and take a bunch of, and we would, and we all put on these Army outfit, I guess it was, the Marine there, we all put them on the next day when we left forward. The captain, they do, they take them off on the regular.
Did you guys ever talk about the other branches of service, wondering what maybe was going on with them?
Not too much. We kept pretty much to ourselves. We were kind of a select group. The destroyer guys, they were expendable. You go with that.
Were you ever worrying that you guys might have to go on a land attack on Japan?
No, we didn't. We were all talking about it because before the atomic bomb, and because they had just about taken over Okinawa, and that was Japan itself was the next step.
What was it like, if we could go back here, you said you didn't enter it until 1943, right?
I think it was 43, December 43.
So between 41 and 43, how were times in America then?
We didn't suffer too much there. We lived on a farm. My dad was a good farmer. And we had a big garden and lived. And we raised our own meat and vegetables and everything. We didn't have to buy too much.
And in school, when did you graduate actually?
Graduated from Paul Smith?
No, from high school.
Oh, in 1939.
1939, alright, so you were just getting out. What did you do in between that time? You just were on the farm the whole time?
Yeah. I had a couple part-time jobs with the school.
Did you have to leave a job when you went into the service?
No, we'd sold we had an auction and sold all the cows from the farm and the machinery and everything. And I cut a big wood for the mother and father, and that was that.
Were any of your brothers or relatives in the war?
My brother, Don, he was in the Coast Guard Reserve, and shore duty, shore duty, checking for, what do they call them?
Enemy?
Yeah, there were spies getting ashore.
Mm-hmm.
He had a certain amount of beach to patrol. And that's what he was. And my other brother, my older brother, he was in the Air Corps. He was a stenographer. He ended up over in the back end of China.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was it again? Stenographer?
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
Well, it was like secretary.
Mm-hmm. What was he doing in the back part of China?
He was keeping records. Most of the time they were moving around keeping ahead of the Japanese and communists.
What was everyone's attitude towards the war? Was it pretty, everyone was pretty patriotic towards
Oh,
it?
yeah.
And what did you think about when Vietnam came around and people started, there was all the things going on at the college campuses with the kids and whatnot?
Well, the original idea, I think, was good, but they went too far with it or something. We got to keep that kind of stuff out of our government. I mean, it's pretty hard. We're going to have to fight for some of it.
You weren't drafted. You enlisted, right?
Yeah.
But there was the draft going on.
Oh, yeah.
And how come you enlisted and didn't just wait to get drafted?
Well, one reason I quit farming and enlisted was when I needed help, I was trying to get these fellas that were deferred because of farming. And I couldn't get them to work for me. Really much of it. So I didn't fool around, I just quit.
You were working for your dad on the farm?
Yeah, I working with him.
What did he think when you had it that you decided you wanted to go off to war?
He said whatever I wanted, go ahead.
Did he worry at all about you, knowing that what you're about to go into, or did he not realize?
I don't know, I never got home again. I enlisted.
It was a pretty quick thing, you enlisted and you were right in there?
Yeah, I was in, well, I went to school, went boot camp with the conditioning. And I went to school where you learn all about the guns.
Did you find that what you used in school, your education from school, ever helped you in the military? Or was it pretty much you were learning all over again?
Pretty much learning all over again. I knew how to clean my guns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a lot of kickback on those things?
Not too bad. Those 20 millimeters, they were twin, two different circular rounds. Yeah, like I say, you had to hold on, hit it with a hammer, started and it worked perfect.
Was there ever any Japanese resistance on you guys, like firepower-wise? Did they ever shoot at you?
Well, the planes did.
Planes?
We had planes that weren't kamikaze. So we had one plane at night. It was a torpedo plane. And I know that they didn't let us shoot the machine guns at night because the tracers would show them where the ship was.
Oh, yeah. They would light up, right?
Yeah. And
so what did you guys have to do at nighttime? Just let them come at you?
yeah, well, we had bigger guns that were shooting. And I know I stood down on the deck and I'm watching that big gun shooting. And they were heading right behind the airplane, making big water spouts. And all of a sudden I happened to look down in the water down there coming in toward the ship, and there's this white streak. And that's a torpedo. We were turning and went right by the side of it.
Torpedo just barely missed it?
Just barely missed it.
Oh my God, that's funny. Did any of the Japanese ever survive did they ever have to eject or anything? Or did they just completely just suicide right at it?
It's suicide right at, no pulling up, you could tell when they headed for you that they weren't going to get them, or else they were going to get you some honor, the emperor or something.
Did you make a lot of friends on the ship?
Oh yeah, there was a division between the engineers, which was down below deck, and the seamen, which was above deck. I got along good with both of them. After the war, we actually had parties once in a while.
Yeah. What did you guys do for fun on the ship when you weren't in any kind of action?
Well, after the war, we had Liberty and quite a few cities on shore because we were delivering mail from Tokyo South, which is accessible to the southern part of Japan in these different ports. We were delivering mail to them, and we pick up some on the way by. So we got to see quite a few cities, a lot of lights. And it was interesting.
Did you meet Grandma before the war?
Just as about a month before I went to serve.
Bad times. What did she think about you going off to war?
I don't know, we never really got together till after the war was over. I don't know.
Was that impulsiveness when you guys met?
No, up in Hudson.
Oh, how did that happen?
Well, she worked in a feed store as a treasurer or whatnot. And I was, I got a part-time job till they called me. And so we met a couple times a day.
Did Grandma ever say what she thought about the war or what she did during the war?
She used to be a clerk in a grocery store. She told me some good tales on this rationing business.
Oh yeah, well, how about the rationing? How did that work?
Well, it worked pretty good, I guess. The clerk, they fell with them.
Yeah, with the customers really mad.
Yeah.
Usually the clerks, I assume.
You can only have so much sugar, they'd have to do a bag of sugar and divide it into 3 or 4.
Is there anything else that I mentioned that went on during the war?
Not really.
Anything else that you did? Any memorable moments? That maybe just some funny moments or anything like that? Mistakes? No. Alright. Well, that's about it. Alright then.
Okay.
All set.